A pleasant day, everyone. We have reached the 6th unit of biochemistry, enzymes. Enzymes are proteins that speed up the chemical reactions taking place in our body. In other terms, a biological catalyst. Let's delve deeper and find more about enzymes as our group goes on and performs the experimental setups under the 5th module. I am Crizal Grace Maglalang. Let's start off with the first task, Visco enzyme. A whole apple is peeled and deboned, then chopped into small pieces in this experiment. The chopped pieces are then placed in a cooking ware. Added with 200 ml of water and covered with a lid before placing it in low heat until the apple becomes tender and soft. After simmering, the apple is smashed into a puree using a fork. The puree was set aside while mixing 5 tablespoons of meat tenderizer into 150 ml of water. The solution is thoroughly stirred in a glass. In another container, 3 tablespoons of the apple puree is placed. Then added with 5 teaspoons of hot water. A cup of the meat tenderizer solution is poured in the same container. Then mix thoroughly. After mixing, it was filtered and was left for 10 minutes. It can be observed that the filtrate's color has darkened compared to the initial apple puree. From the yellowish puree, it has become brown.
Hello, I am Kimberly Claire Lasam of Group 5 and I will be performing Task 2 of Module 5 in this experiment.
Prepare the needed materials. Label the covered containers with control, water, oil, lemon juice, and onion. Juice is extracted from the lemon. The onion is then sliced into thin strips. Cubes of apples of nearly the same size are also needed. 2 cubes of apples are placed in each of the 5 containers. The different substances are put in the surfaces of each apple cube. A spoon is used to put lemon juice on the surface of the apple slice. The same goes for the oil. The onion, on the other hand, is rubbed on the surface of the apples. Five teaspoons of hot water is then added in each container. After keeping it on the refrigerator, the apple cubes in the oil setup has turned extremely brown, followed by the control that has also turned brown but not as much as the cooking oil setup. The water setup has slightly turned into brown. The cubes soaked in lemon juice are also observed to have minimal color changes, while no significant changes were observed in the cubes rubbed with onion.
Vanya. Today I will be doing task 3 in Model 5, which is the bubbling veggies.
In this experiment, we need 4 plastic cups for each sample. 1/4 cup of hydrogen peroxide is poured into each cup. Bear in mind that we would also need plant samples cut into cubes such as potato, onion, apple, and pineapple, and 5 teaspoons of hot water that would be added into each cup later on. The cube of potato is dropped into cup 1, the cube of onion is dropped into cup 2, while both the cube of apple and cube of pineapple are dropped into cup 3. 5 teaspoons of hot water are then added into each container. Afterwards, observe and compare the bubble production with each plant sample dipped in the hydrogen peroxide and water solution. Bubbles have formed in the surface of the solution containing the cube of potato due to the enzyme catalase. The color of the solution in cup 1 can also be observed to be yellowish after a few minutes. Bubble formation is also observed with the cube of onion, however, it is less evident compared to the first cup. Same true with the cube of apple and cube of pineapple. The cube of apple produces an even less amount of bubbles than that of the cube of onion, and the cube of pineapple has the least produced bubbles when dropped into the solution.
Hey guys, it's Zara and I will be doing Model 5 Task 4, the Magic Bubble. But before we proceed,
For this experiment, prepare 4 labeled plastic cups, vinegar, baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, water, and strips of potato. 5 teaspoons of vinegar is poured into the first cup. Set it aside while mixing 1 teaspoon of baking soda in a half cup of water. From the baking soda solution, put 5 teaspoons into the second cup. A strip of potato is then soaked into the first 2 plastic cups for 5 minutes. Five teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide are poured into the third and fourth cup respectively. The potato strip from the first cup is transferred into the third cup. Initially, no changes were observed except for the minimal change in smell. Upon adding 5 teaspoons of hot water, bubbles have formed throughout the mixture momentarily. The potato strip from the second cup, on the other hand, is transferred into the fourth cup. Bubbles have immediately formed around the potato strip upon the transfer, and its amount increased after adding 5 teaspoons of hot water. The bubbles have eventually subsided as the solution cooled down. A baking soda solution will be needed for this experiment. Prepare it by mixing 1 teaspoon baking soda to a half cup water. Pineapple juice is also necessitated in this experimental setup, which can be extracted from pineapple tidbits. In each of the 2 separate plastic cups, pour 100 ml of fresh milk. On the first cup with fresh milk, add 1 teaspoon of pineapple juice, then stir. The second cup, on the other hand, is added with 1 teaspoon of pineapple juice and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Thoroughly stir the second cup solution as well. After 5 minutes, there were no visible changes in the first cup except for the trace of pineapple juice in the milk in terms of odor. The milk particles from the second cup, on the other hand, is observed to be over the baking soda solution. Minimal traces of particles can also be seen, but not enough to consider as a curd.